Roger Cook is on the couch.
Former Health Minister has been kicked out of home, not because he's been busted doing something bad, but because his wife Carly has to self-isolate. She flew in from Queensland on the weekend, probably booked the trip thinking she wouldn't have to self-isolate because it was after February 5. But Mark McGowan put paid to any thought of a seamless return.
We will keep our hard border controls in place.
Apparently Rog is on a couch somewhere because Carly needs to quarantine in the family home. He said, "The rules apply to everyone equally, as they should. My wife is looking forward to spending some time on her own without listening to my phone ringing at all hours."
And Carly got some good news from the Premier.
7 days apart from Roger instead of 14.
Isolation reduced to 7 days and testing rules depending on your circumstances.
New higher caseload rules take effect from Tuesday, and halving the quarantine period is part of that process. Turns out 14 days was a bit of overkill anyway. There has never been a case of anyone in WA converting to COVID positive in the second week of isolation. The head of the AMA in WA, Mark Duncan-Smith, says in the case of Delta, it's a 1% chance of that happening, and even less with Omicron.
But it's time to strap in now.
These new rules are actually counterintuitive. More COVID in the community means you relax the rules and make it easier for people to get COVID.
Western Australia is about to embark on its most challenging phase of the pandemic.
We're doubling the number of international arrivals, not requiring them to isolate in hotels. They can do it at home. We're relaxing the definition of what a close contact is.
Beginning tomorrow, the new close contact definition will be a household member or intimate partner of a person with COVID-19 who has had contact with them during their infectious period, or someone who has had a close personal interaction with a positive case during their infectious period, or having spent more than 2 hours within a small room with a case during their infectious period where masks have been removed by either person. Or, in addition, a close contact is also someone who has been notified by WA Health that they are a close contact based on specific circumstances.
Although if you can work out what that means, you're better than me. And we're being urged to use rapid antigen testing, even though Amber Jade Sanderson seems to be the only person who knows where to actually find them.
Rats are now readily available for purchase in store.
You got a rats test at home?
Nope. You?
No, couldn't find any.
Premier had his own COVID scare, had a PCR test, like everyone else in Rockingham. He spent Sunday night in isolation after visiting an exposure site. Now, ideally wanted it to be a rub and tug like those guys in Mount Lawley.
Oh my goodness.
But no such luck. There were no massage parlours listed as exposure sites in Rockingham, which meant the Premier quarantined because he was either at the Mike Barnett Sports Complex.
There's something a bit odd about the Premier getting COVID from a place that has the name Barnett in it.
True. Or he could have been at Snap Fitness, where the Premier may have been working out. The Premier said this is just the start of the real fight.
No community transmission for long periods of time meant that things were pretty simple. The road ahead is about to get very bumpy.
So it begins.
It's still only 26 cases.
It's not exactly the high caseload trigger we were expecting.
So the day on which we announced it, it was 9 cases. It's now 26, so it's a 150% increase. On top of that, we had a number of people come in over the weekend. So there's 10,000 people come through the airport, another 2,000 across the road border.
But he's denying he was pressured by industry, miners, chalkies, medicos, or annoying journos.
One thing I've learned over COVID is you don't give in to people yelling at you. And I've been through hundreds of press conferences in which people have been yelling at me to do things, and we withstood them, and therefore we saved hundreds of lives in Western Australia.
Things get real February 21st, and that's when we get the foreign tourists.
If they're double vaxxed.
We look forward to welcoming you back to Australia.
Let's hope some of them stay here and take jobs in aged care.
Scott Morrison Health Minister Greg Hunt fronted cameras today to talk about the issue of staffing levels in aged care homes. A lot of carers are off work either because they're isolating or at a time of record job vacancies, they've discovered there are easier ways to make a living. Depending on what part of the press conference you were awake in, the worker shortage was either not a problem at all,
5,900 workers who are furloughing out of that pool of over 280,000. So that's less than 3%.
Or something so catastrophic it required the army to be sent in.
the role that the Defence Forces could play was very, very acute.
Sir, for your own safety, we do advise you to evacuate.
I ain't leaving. I was born in this nursing home and I'll die in this nursing home.
The army in nursing homes.
Bit of tough love for the oldies.
You will not laugh. You will not cry. You will learn by the numbers. I will teach you.
We're using the army because the existing workforce is knackered.
It's a recognition that the staff have done a brilliant job, but many of them are fatigued.
And their replacements are completely unqualified.
Bringing people who are not clinical experts in aged care into an aged care environment is a very delicate, serious task.
So young they don't know what they're doing.
Changing the rules around student nurses so they could be working.
Or so old they've forgotten how to do it.
We've also brought back workers from retirement.
ScoMo's determined to look after our seniors, even the ones who refuse to do as they're told.
Don't give in to people yelling at you.
I'm Ben Harvey. For more Up Late, click the subscribe button below.